Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Baldrige Foundation's Institute for Performance Excellence webinar, Accelerating Baldrige, 4 Essential Tools that Drive Rapid Results. Before we get started today, I want to take a moment and recognize members of the Mac Baldrige Society who serve as the trustees for the Foundation's Institute for Performance Excellence. It is their generous support that make presentations like today's possible. And here's today's agenda. Our guest today is Mike Kramer, the president of ManageHub. Following his presentations, we're going to take questions from the audience and have a panel discussion, and then a few closing remarks. So now I'm going to turn over to Mike to get us started. Mike?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Al. Thank you, everybody. So today we're going to talk about my favorite subject, Baldrige, our national standard of management excellence. And Baldrige is famously non-prescriptive, which means it defines what excellence looks like, but it doesn't tell you exactly how to achieve it. And that's where the ManageHub success formula comes in, because it shows you step by step how to achieve Baldrige level excellence. And all it takes are 4 Baldrige-based systems that are implemented using 4 corresponding tools. And that's what we're going to discuss today. But before I begin, I'd like to clear up a common misconception about Baldrige, that somehow it's limited to benefiting the largest billion-dollar organizations that have thousands of employees or perhaps manufacturing concerns. The truth is, Baldrige will benefit every organization regardless of industry size or stage of development, from startup to scale up and beyond. It benefits smaller organizations because it helps them build the scalable infrastructure they need to grow without the typical growing and slowing pains. And if by chance you are one of those larger organizations and you're somehow stuck, Baldrige will help you retrofit your organization with that structure so that you can eliminate the pains and problems and just see them melt away. Or you'll turn those customer complaints into compliments, or create that ultimate employee culture where every employee knows how to work together as one united team, and create a self-managed organization that basically runs itself. And for all of you Baldrige adopters out there, you know there's nothing better than using the Baldrige Framework to accelerate strategic planning. In fact, it turns strategy into a living process. So Baldrige is for everyone. And as for the ManageHub success formula, it benefits stakeholder groups well beyond the organizations themselves. Of course, any organization will benefit who wants to adopt Baldrige because it creates the fastest path to optimization, transformation, turnaround, or achieving any of those buzzy businessy terms like resilience and responsiveness and flexibility, or as I like to refer to it as the 3 S's, sustainable, scalable, and saleable. But it also benefits other stakeholder groups like banks, credit unions, chambers, or any other entity wanting a way to confirm the management maturity of an organization they're going to invest in, that they're going to fund, that they want to partner with. And if by chance you manage a private equity firm or a family office, there's nothing better than using Baldrige to align all of your portfolio companies to a single standard of excellence. And nothing makes it easier than using the success formula. And if by chance the organization you work with isn't quite ready to embrace Baldrige, but you are, you can use the success formula to adopt Baldrige to benefit, to manage your area of responsibility, your department, your unit, your division. And it'll become your secret weapon to outperform the other managers in your organization. And as many of you know, I speak at a lot of executive peer groups, a lot of leadership groups. And what do I speak about? My favorite subject, Baldrige. And there is no better way for all the leaders in your peer roundtable to support each other than if they're all adopting Baldrige together, because it creates this beautiful common management language where they're all optimizing their organization using our national standard of excellence. And I have to talk about business operating systems because there are so many of them being marketed out there these days. And there's nothing better than using Baldrige because it's America's business operating system. And it is the most trusted, credible approach. And where these other approaches generally live in the executive suite, Baldrige filters throughout the organization. All right, so for today, what I'd like to do is preview the ManageHub success formula so you can see what it looks like. And then I'd like to share a brief history of the Baldrige program. And this is important because it not only allows you to feel confident that you're adopting the most trusted, credible, proven approach, but it gives you a way to sell it internally to your leadership and to your employees. And then if that's not enough, I'm going to share the results that you should expect to achieve by adopting Baldrige. And then I'll show you how the Baldrige framework works, and more specifically, how the 4 systems that are recommended with the Baldrige-based success formula, how it helped you build a beautiful Baldrige-based performance management system. And then I'll end with 7 action steps that you can start today. So what is the ManageHub success formula? It basically helps you achieve everything you want in your organization by adopting just 4 Baldrige-based systems that are implemented using just 4 corresponding and customizable tools. And it helps accelerate the traditional Baldrige journey from 5 to 10 years to being set up in about 10 weeks with ROI accruing right out the gate and regretting that you hadn't started sooner in about 10 months. And this is what the success formula looks like. The first column represents what we want. The second column represents those 4 required management systems. And the third column represents the 4 corresponding tools that help you build that beautiful Baldrige-based performance management system. And if we had the luxury of being together, I'd have everybody get out of your chairs and go to the side, the walls in the room, and we'd have big Post-it notes where you could start writing down everything you want to achieve in your organization. Because by the end of the presentation, our goal would be to help you have confidence that you now have a system to achieve everything that you wrote down. But since we don't have that luxury, I typically can find that I can categorize these Baldrige benefits into about 4 categories. And the first is related to making money or saving money. And the bottom line is leaders all need more bottom line, right? It's just a requirement of staying in business. And the second category relates to saving time. Leaders hate wasting time in meetings and recreating a process that may be lost or knowledge that's lost when a key employee leaves, or putting out the same customer fire over and over again, or all those other time wasters that just imagine what your life would be like if you could eliminate them. And then the third category relates to looking good, because as leaders, we want to look good in front of our boards, in front of our customers, in front of our employees, in front of our competitors. And if you're in business and a private equity firm is considering purchasing your company, you want to look good in front of that private equity firm, right? And of course, we want to look good in front of the mirror, because as leaders, we want to take pride in a job well done, that we built an organization with lasting value. Am I right? And the last category relates to all those pains and problems. We want to manage proactively, not reactively. We want to eliminate the pain, the frustration, the stresses. We want to look forward to going into work. Am I right? So if we had the luxury of being together and you had written down the individual Baldrige benefits you're looking for, some of these items may appear on your list. I took these from past experiences. And so several examples might be difficulty retaining the best people. That's frustrating when your good people leave. Or creating a flat organizational structure instead of the typical hierarchical structure. Or capturing critical knowledge so it doesn't leave when people leave your organization. And if we had your employees there too, they would be reporting things related to what's important to them, which is being included in decision-making, having a voice, having an ability to participate in implementing strategies. And for leaders, the number one request is more visibility. They want to know how things are operating with their people, their processes and strategies. They want more command and control. So to achieve all of this, all that's required are 4 systems. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how in the world can you create a Baldrige-based performance management system by adopting just 4 systems? Well, it's kind of the Pareto principle in action. 80% of the benefit with just 20% of the effort. And the first system you need is a suggestion system. You need a way to capture your employees' ideas at the point of thought. And you need a way to capture their issues and problems at the moment they occur. And the better your organization's ability to capture these suggestions, the more fuel you'll have for a powerful continuous improvement cycle. And the second system you need is a consensus or decision support system. You need a way to translate those suggestions into initiatives. You need to involve all the right people in your organization at all the right levels. So it's not just decisions being made in isolation. And then a third critical system is a meeting management system. You need a way to structure short, substantive, impactful meetings. And the same structure needs to cascade throughout your organization. So you have one organization way of managing meetings. And if you do it right, you create a mechanism to report progress blockers and next steps so that you can better communicate, collaborate, and coordinate everyone's work. And the last system that you need is an onboarding and development system. You need a way to onboard your new people into your organization's culture and then develop them for future roles and as future leaders. And just to emphasize the importance of this, think about what it's like to join your organization as a new employee. Is it kind of like being thrown into the deep end of an ice cold pool of water? Do they feel like they're being enrolled in the school of hard knocks, as they say? Or do they feel embraced into the culture? Do they feel like they are being mentored and supported every step of the way? And do they feel competent in their new roles? That's the way you keep them long term. Now think about your existing long-serving employees. Do they feel stuck in a job trap? Do they feel like they have a career plan? Do they feel like they are being mentored for future roles and even as a future leader? Well, having a deep bench of high potential, high-performing employees is a key to scaling. So you see how these four systems are essential to building your Baldrige-based performance management system? And you see how they can kind of work together? I'll show you how that happens in just a little bit. And to accelerate the building of your organization's Baldrige-based performance management system, we give you 4 integrated and corresponding and fully customizable tools. So you don't have to be reinventing the wheel. We give you a head start to accelerate your Baldrige journey. And that's the whole objective here, that you all want Baldrige excellence and you want it to happen as quickly as possible and get to those beautiful Baldrige benefits. Am I right? So to show you how we improve the typical Baldrige journey, I asked ChatGPT to define the traditional Baldrige journey, and it's depicted on the left-hand side of this graphic. And it starts with learning, which usually typically involves just a handful of people in your organization. They either go to workshops or they become Baldrige examiners, and then they go and assess your organization and develop an improvement plan. And just these 3 steps can take a year or more. And then you get to implementation. But with our accelerated success formula version, you jump right ahead to implementation because we know what the traditional gaps are, and they're represented in those 4 essential management systems. All you need to do is customize them and use them, and then all those beautiful Baldrige benefits start to accrue. So we accelerate your Baldrige journey by kind of flipping the deployment approach, giving you a ready-made tool set. Instead of limiting the learning to a handful of people, we employ a learn by doing approach where the entire organization starts learning about Baldrige together. And this saves you time, it saves you money, and it front loads your beautiful Baldrige ROI. Sounds good, right? So now that you kind of understand what the success formula looks like, we need to give you a way to sell Baldrige internally, right? Because odds are many people have never heard of Baldrige. And the best way to sell Baldrige, even to yourself, is that to understand a brief history of the Baldrige program, to understand its origin story. And the more you learn about Baldrige, the more confident you will be that it is the most proven, credible, and trusted approach. There's nothing better because it is simply current best management practices. And the story starts with Henry Ford when he sparked the Industrial Revolution by introducing modern management ideas like the production line, task specialization, automation, and quality control. It was enough for the whole world to believe America's streets were paved in gold. And then in post-World War II, America initiated the MacArthur Plan, and we sent over management thought leaders like Edward Deming and Joseph Juran, and they introduced all of the current best management practices of the day. And then Japan helped those best practices evolve with concepts like suggestion systems, continuous improvement, quality circles. And of course, they gave them all those beautiful Japanese names like Kaizen for incremental improvements. It's amazing. And the whole world started to take note. And emerging economies wanted to duplicate America's success and Japan's success. Hey, there's something to these current best practices. They work. Let's also adopt them. And they were able to duplicate America and Japan's success with incredible success and enviable success. And then in the 1970s, the US Navy became concerned about its own quality. And they looked to the world for inspiration. And they started to collect and gather all current best management practices and created a holistic best practice framework called TQM. Have you ever heard of TQM? It stands for Total Quality Management. And it was so successful in the Navy that other branches of the military started to adopt it too. And other agencies in the government started to adopt it. And other forward-thinking industries like the freight industry started to adopt it. And then in the 1980s, the US Congress became concerned about the emerging global economy and America's potential slipping position in it. And they decided to popularize TQM, make TQM available to all leaders and encourage its adoption. And that's when the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award Program was created. And the program was named for Malcolm Baldrige because he's the Secretary of Commerce at the time. It was his baby, and unfortunately, he passed away just before Congress enacted it. But here is the legislation. And in the red circle, can you see that Congress intended to benefit smaller organizations first and foremost? But this was the era of trickle-down economics, and it never quite trickled down. But the largest businesses adopted it, like IBM and FedEx and 3M, and it made them unstoppable. And the largest nonprofits and healthcare systems and educational systems adopted Baldrige too. And Baldrige sparked an international movement where there are over 70 Baldrige-based programs around the world. So the whole world is adopting Baldrige. Why not you? And the history of Baldrige does not stop there. And this is where it just hits it home, because every couple of years, the Baldrige program updates the framework to represent current best management practices. And it both inspires and starts bringing back home into the fold back into the framework innovative ideas included in concepts like Agile and Lean and Six Sigma and ISO. So Baldrige represents current best management practices. That's why it's trusted. That's why it's proven. That's why that there's no comparison to it. Then in the 2010s, the Baldrige community, specifically the Baldrige Alliance and ManageHub partnered to align our tool set to the Baldrige Framework because they wanted to make it easier for mid-market and smaller organizations to adopt Baldrige too. And that's where all of this was created. And now it's your turn to use it all. It's Baldrige presented to you on a silver platter. All you have to do is take the success formula, customize those tools, and start implementing them, and watch all those Baldrige benefits roll in. Okay, so I encourage everybody to visit the nist.gov/Baldrige website. It's the Baldrige website. It's a treasure trove of information. If you haven't visited, you need to be there. And as you know, Baldrige is managed by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And NIST is the same government agency responsible for all of America's standards, like weights and measures and cybersecurity, and it manages Baldrige too. And when you're at the NIST website, be sure to download your copy of the Baldrige Excellence Framework. It is the best management book you will ever read. But I have to caution you, it doesn't read quite like the traditional management book. It's more like a set of standards. And that's the way I like to refer to Baldrige. I like to refer to it as GAMP. I'm a CPA, and as CPAs, we have generally accepted accounting principles. It's the reason you can go to any CPA and get basically a consistent, excellent experience because we all conform to GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. Well, you as a leader and your organization can be excellent by simply conforming to GAMP, generally accepted management principles, which of course is represented by Baldrige. And if you dive into the Baldrige framework, you can tease out about 30 essential management processes associated with the highest performing organizations. And to me, this is why the Baldrige framework is like a treasure map. All you need to do is determine to what extent your organization addresses these 30 or so management processes and fill the gaps, and you're on your way to achieving Baldrige level benefits. Okay, so if that's not enough to encourage you to start your Baldrige journey, let's dive into the results. And just like we started this presentation by identifying the specific benefits you're looking to achieve, I often find that when you actually see what other Baldrige adopting organizations have achieved, you start dreaming way bigger. So while you're on the nist.gov/Baldrige website, be sure to download your copy of the Baldrige 2020 report. If you're having a hard time finding it, just go to the managehub.pro/Baldrige webpage. I give you a direct link right back to NIST. And while you're perusing the Baldrige 2020 report, jot down every impact that these Baldrige adopting organizations have achieved. Because in the 2020 report, NIST and the Baldrige program have compiled a list of impacts achieved by all kinds of different organizations in all sizes. And you're going to be impressed. For example, customer satisfaction being reported by Baldrige adopting organizations of 90%. It's impressive, right? And workforce satisfaction being reported on average of 87%, when we all know that SHRM and other organizations that report an annual survey of employee satisfaction report about 33% satisfaction, and strategic execution of 84%, where we all know most strategic plans are, well, you could spend a fortune of money on strategic planning, but they're mostly just finished, filed, and forgotten, right? And then the most important statistic of all is on year-over-year average growth from Baldrige adopting organizations of 48%. And this just bowls over most leaders. It seems incredible, right? Well, it's such a common phenomenon that I gave it a name. I call it the law of business growth homeostasis. It sounds impressive, doesn't it? And it explains how Baldrige unlocks the trap potential of an organization. Because the law states that an organization can only grow to the point that it can deliver consistent quality to all of its customers, new and old alike. And what happens in most organizations is they just spend more and more and more money on marketing. And they're able to grow for a short term, but then they settle right back down to that homeostatic level. So when that happens, I tell leaders, it's better to repurpose a portion of your marketing budget to create that beautiful Baldrige scalable infrastructure so that you can accommodate all your customers, new and old alike, with consistent quality, and then turn back on your marketing engine and watch all those sales roll in, that beautiful growth. It's not just going to be sales growth, it's going to be profit growth and value growth too. So if you're wondering if you can achieve the same Baldrige benefits as outlined in the 2020 report, here are some impacts of success score adopting organizations. Here we have 98% customer satisfaction, so we beat the 2020 report. We have 100% employee engagement and 100% strategies implemented. And I'll tell you, using the success formula tools, it's impossible not to have employee engagement, very high employee engagement and strategic implementation, because it creates so much accountability and so much visibility for the organization. You'll know if something is off the rails and you'll be able to fix it. And then look at this beautiful growth, growing from 3 to 8 locations, 44% increase in clients served, 55% increase in productivity. Yeah, they're achieving that. The law of business growth homeostasis was defeated, and they're able to grow because they have that scalable infrastructure. And then another happy benefit that was kind of unexpected was how many of the Baldrige adopting organizations I've worked with have had beautiful private equity exits, very high multiple exits, because Baldrige just helps organizations increase their excellence to the point where their reputations in their industry ascribes to them very high valuations. Okay. If you'd like to see more of these kinds of impacts, just visit managehub.pro/accelerator. Scroll down to the middle of the page, and there's a lot of these impact statements. And at the very bottom is this beautiful 30-minute reel that we put together of Baldrige role model success stories featuring 5 leaders of mid-market and smaller organizations explaining their Baldrige journey. And we created this for NIST and the Baldrige program as part of their 2023 Baldrige Reimagined initiative that shows how small and mid-market organizations can benefit in the same profound ways as the largest organizations. So now let's turn our focus to how the Baldrige Framework works, and more specifically, how the success formula tools will help you build a beautiful Baldrige-based performance management system. So this is the famous Baldrige graphic. Are you familiar with it? It's quite simple. Great leaders create great strategies that evolve to the evolving needs of their customers. They hire great people who continuously improve the work that they perform, their operational processes. And when you add in the 11 core values and concepts that come with the Baldrige framework, and you have the management systems like knowledge management and accounting systems and all those other good things, you get the results you want. Well, let me ask you a question. Where's the innovation? Do you see the innovation in this graphic? The innovation is here at the center. The innovation is integration. And this is where most leaders break down in the way they approach this framework. They manage these areas in silos. So they may invest a lot of money in strategic planning, and they may invest in the latest technology to manage their operations, but they're managed in silos, and there's no leverage. And the more you look at the graphic, the more you realize that all of these elements work together. You can't create a strategy without considering your customers and your operational capabilities in your workforce, right? And you can't think about your operations without considering your workforce and strategy. It all works together. So the great innovation of the Baldrige framework is integration, but it's also its greatest challenge. Because how do you build that fully integrated Baldrige-based performance management system? And this may explain why mid-market and smaller organizations have not embraced Baldrige the same way that the largest organizations have, because they don't have that 5 to 10 year timeline and the deep pockets you need to build that fully integrated Baldrige-based system. So that's why the Baldrige community, specifically the Baldrige Alliance and ManageHub, got together to build this templated system that will accelerate the adoption of Baldrige-based best practices within an organization. So all it takes are 4 systems using 4 corresponding tools: a suggestion system, a consensus or decision support system, a standardized meeting format, and an onboarding and development system. That's it. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, we're doing pretty good. We've got a lot of this. Yeah. And then you may be thinking, why aren't we achieving all these beautiful Baldrige benefits? The reason is explained here. Baldrige is famously a systems approach. You cannot implement these systems casually. And that's where a lot of leaders go wrong. As a suggestion system goes, and having an open door policy is not enough. Manager walkabouts are not enough. And having annual employee surveys, well, they're just not enough. And as for a consensus system or a decision support system, calling a decision-making meeting is not enough. And executives making decisions without including the front lines in a meaningful way is just not enough. And as for a standardized meeting format, having an agenda and distributing minutes after is not enough. And unstructured stand-ups are not enough. And I just, before I started this presentation, I saw a little ad for an AI that will take notes during your meeting for you. I just wonder who's going to read those notes. I don't think that's enough either. And as for onboarding and development, what I'm speaking about is not HR compliance onboarding, because that's when you say onboarding, that's what most people think about. Signing the employee agreement and filling out those tax forms. What we're talking about is onboarding an employee into your culture and preparing them, training them so they're competent in their current jobs and preparing them for future roles and even as future leaders. So it's different. and annual reviews are not enough. And unstructured manager sit-downs are not enough. And from my experience, 360-degree reviews just cause more harm than good. So instead, what you need is a fully integrated, systematic approach that addresses those 30 or so management processes included in the Baldrige Framework. And in this view of it, I color-coded the individual management processes and associated them with the corresponding tools so that you could see how that integration works. But this is such an important topic that I want to dive in a little bit deeper and explain how we accelerate this integration, because the tools have been designed to work together to create this beautiful Baldrige-based performance management system. So in this first view, I'm going to show you two views. One is this one, where we leverage 3 of the tools to build a beautiful, high-value continuous improvement cycle. In fact, the continuous improvement cycle is so powerful that it will also play the role as the engine of your organization's strategic process. And it starts with ideas, that suggestion system. That suggestion system captures your employees' ideas at the point of thought. And to do that, we use our ideas form. And to turn those ideas into action, you have your consensus or decision support system. And for that, we gave you the business case worksheet tool. And then those projects need to be managed, right? We're agnostic in terms of what project management software you use. Our only recommendation is you use the same software organization-wide, because it helps create that beautiful common management language where employees can slip between different departments and different projects easily. It makes it easier for organizations to work together instead of having functional silos as well. Then the last element here is the ManageHub meeting, or the meeting format, because you need a way to report progress, blockers, and next steps. And the way this ManageHub meeting system has been designed is it also facilitates communication, collaboration, and coordination of work. And when you do it right, do you know what? It turns leaders into the conductor of a symphony orchestra. They do not play any of the instruments, but they are responsible for all of that beautiful music. It's a thing of beauty, I have to say. All right, and here's another view. This one is onboarding and development. Again, that ManageHub meeting plays a central role because it is the one place where we identify all the knowledge that either needs to be created because there's a gap, or updated so that it's current. And this helps prevent having knowledge leave your organization when somebody suddenly and unexpectedly leaves. And then all that knowledge is used to build your onboarding and development workbook, which then is translated into individual learning plans for every employee. And you then use those individual learning plans to structure a wonderful mentorship relationship with every employee. And it's just so elegant and so simple. And you know what it does? It makes people connected to your organization in a way that they just never want to leave, because they see that they're not stuck in a job trap and they're cared for and they're being developed. It fosters scalability. Okay, well, all of this does more than just accelerate integration. It also accelerates culture, because those success formula tools have been designed to create the ultimate employee-powered culture of excellence. And to explain this, I have prepared this graphic for you. On the left-hand side of the graphic, we have the 11 core values and concepts that come with the Baldrige Framework. Now, for all of you who have spent a lot of time and money on values exercises, the Baldrige Framework comes with 11 core values and concepts that have already been determined to be associated with the highest performing organizations. So if you haven't done that values exercise, I suggest you just use the Baldrige Framework's values. But if you have, I suggest you reconcile the values that come with the Baldrige Framework with the ones you've created to make sure you don't have any blind spots. But in any case, values are values. They're very theoretical and they're open to interpretation. And that is not what organizations need to create culture. What organizations need to create culture is alignment, and alignment to specific behaviors that everyone agrees to perform. And that's why we translated the 11 core values and concepts into 10 cultural behaviors. And in the latest version of them, we actually indicate the corresponding tool so that people not only know what behavior is expected, but they even know what tool that we're expecting them to use in order to perform that behavior. So for example, in number 3 here, we use our ideas form, our suggestion system, to report your improvement ideas. And this fuels our continuous improvement cycle. It's also important that people understand the why behind these behaviors. And then use our business case worksheet to thoughtfully turn your best ideas into improvement initiatives. And then accurately report progress blockers and next steps using our stand-up ManageHub meeting, our meeting system. See? And then 7, 8, and 9 relate to your onboarding and development approach, where you're capturing knowledge using, well, we give you an SOP template, but you probably have one of your own, and that's perfectly fine, as long as they're actively being used to capture knowledge and update knowledge. And then develop onboarding and development workbooks to create individualized learning plans that leverage that knowledge to mentor an employee to high performance. And of course, recognition is built into the success formula because recognition is such a powerful driver of Baldrige level adoption. In most organizations, people are not recognized on an ongoing, consistent basis. The tools have been designed to recognize people every step of the way, and then in an annual review as well. So what would an accelerator be if we didn't accelerate your Baldrige journey, right? And we do it in just 3 management moves. This is how it works. The first management moves is alignment to those 10 cultural behaviors. I put non-negotiable here because everybody has to agree to perform them, from your executive suite down to your front lines. It's what unites you. Your culture unites you. So 10 cultural behaviors. You could add to it, but I'd want to have a conversation with you before you subtract from it, because those behaviors have been so carefully designed and proven over many, many years of use. Then, now that everybody's adopted the 10 behaviors and they know the tools that help perform them, you use them to build scalable infrastructure. So that's the second management move. Use the tools to build that beautiful Baldrige-based scalable infrastructure. And then how are you going to do it? It's the third management move, engagement. You're going to engage your people at all levels of your organization to build it. And it's going to happen pretty organically, I have to say. Now, many leaders and organizations will spend a fortune of money investing in team building. And I could just say there is nothing better than the Baldrige Framework and adopting the Baldrige Framework to build great teams. The way I like to say it is build a great team by letting them help build you a great organization. And the way to engage them, there's 2 primary mechanisms. One is meetings and the other is mentorship. In meetings, everybody is getting together. So it's the perfect opportunity to communicate and encourage adoption of those 10 behaviors, which in turn get them to help build you that scalable infrastructure. And then mentorship, employee performance coaching, what that does is helps you fine tune everybody's individual participation, because you're going to have some people who are going to be reluctant to share an idea using your suggestion system, the ideas form tool, because maybe they have tried it in the past before you started to adopt Baldrige and it didn't turn out so well for them. So now in a mentorship conversation, you can encourage them to actually start sharing their ideas and also to participate in building this beautiful Baldrige-based infrastructure. Just 3 management moves, accelerate your Baldrige journey. There's one other thing I want to tell you about, and this is for my Baldrige geek friends out there. The success formula helps accelerate ADLI as well. And for those of you who know, ADLI is the process maturity model that comes with the Baldrige Framework. And it's one of the few business terms that we actually deploy and communicate throughout an organization, from the executive suite down to the front lines, because it basically teaches you how everybody should work together to optimize each individual process and all the processes together. And this is how the maturity model works. The lowest level of maturity is having an approach. That's a systematic and repeatable, well-documented approach. And the second level of maturity is that approach, that systematic approach, is being consistently used. That's called deployment. And this is where many organizations struggle, because they may invest in very expensive, even enterprise class software. But if your employees don't use that software consistently, then the reporting and all the data and everything starts to fall apart, correct? And then the third level of maturity is learning or continuous improvement, that your systematic approach that is continuously being used is also continuously evolving along with the evolving needs of your organization. And then the last level of maturity, the highest level of maturity, is that beautiful word, integration. That's the great innovation of the Baldrige Framework, where all of your processes are working together in harmony. They're being measured, they're reporting, and recognition is happening. Now, when you look at this, you could see that the success formula has built in a lot of Adley. So it is already a systematic approach. It has continuous improvement built right into it, right? And it's integrated. All the elements integrate to create this beautiful Baldrige-based performance management system. But here's my word of caution. You are responsible for the deployment. That means that leaders down to the front lines have to be engaged and agree to adopt these cultural behaviors and build this beautiful Baldrige systematic approach. It doesn't have to be your whole organization, but it's got to be the entire department. Whatever organizational unit that is adopting Baldrige, you have to all do it together. And then you're going to see those beautiful benefits. So I call this process discipline, and that's a key essential success factor in your Baldrige journey. Okay, so now 7 action steps to start right now to accelerate your Baldrige journey. And the first one is simply to download your copy of the Baldrige Excellence Framework. It represents current best management practices. It's the best management book you'll ever read. And while you're on the NIST website, download your copy of the 2020 report. And remember, if they can achieve it in the 2020 report, you can achieve it in your organization as well. And while you're looking at that 2020 report, jot down every impact you want and make sure that you add in everything that you added in the beginning of this presentation too. Whatever you want to achieve, Baldrige can help you achieve it. And visit the ManageHub.pro site. One of the wonderful tools that ManageHub developed in collaboration with the Baldrige Alliance is something called the Success Score. And I encourage everyone to take it. You can use it to benchmark your organization's current level of maturity based on the Baldrige standards, and then use it to measure improvement moving forward. And then while you're on the website, you can download your free copy of the ManageHub strategy book and all the other free resources that we offer. And then be sure to watch the success stories video that we created at managehub.pro/success stories, or I put it at the bottom of the accelerator webpage as well. 2 of these leaders actually sold their companies to private equity. See if you can figure out who they are. And then step 5 is just start implementing the success formula, a suggestion system, consensus or decision support system, a standardized meeting format, and an onboarding and development system. It's that simple. And if you'd like our help to build all of this, please join the Baldrige Foundation ManageHub Accelerator. Visit managehub.pro/accelerator for all the details and to apply. And then number 7 is all of our favorite, and it just happens organically. All those Baldrige benefits just start rolling in. So here it is, our Baldrige-based ManageHub success formula. So now let's do a little bit of a check. You wrote down some ideas that you want to achieve in your Baldrige journey. Do you think I gave you a paradigm that you have an easier, faster path to achieving it using the Baldrige Framework? I sure hope so. So I am available to you to ask any questions after this question and answer session. Here's my contact information. And now, Al, I open it up for questions.
Okay, Mike. Well, first of all, thank you for that great presentation. It was extremely interesting. And we do have a number of questions. And I'm just going to get right in here. The first one is, what role do frontline employees play?
Well, This is very important because Baldrige to be deployed needs to involve everybody in your organization. They don't all need to be spending an enormous amount of time learning about Baldrige, I have to say, because if you do it right, it's a learn by doing approach. But everybody has a role to play, even if it's as simple as suggesting a way to improve the organization. And the mistake that many leaders make is that they view their employees as basically worker bees. They perform a set of roles and that's it. But you're not leveraging your most expensive resource, and that is their creativity, their innovation, their insights into what's working and what's broken in your organization. So yes, we include the front lines in this success formula. It's one of the key success factors.
Okay. The next question is, how much time do I and my team need to invest in this?
So this is another beautiful thing about the success formula, is that you're already doing a lot of this anyway, but it's being done in a very disorganized fashion. What the success formula tools are designed to do is create that systematic approach that gives you structure. And when you have the structure, you should have a net time savings. But upfront, I have to tell you that we need to customize the tool set for your organization's unique needs. So what I recommend is assigning 1 or 2 people from each department as their representative and helping customize these tools to make sure that we customize them holistically. And that requires about 1 to 2 hours per week of those people's time. And then here's a happy byproduct, a benefit here, is that those people generally become your high potential future leaders. They start to love and embrace Baldrige in a profound way. And you could turn a high potential employee into a high performing employee just by having them participate on this deployment team.
Okay. Well, the next question comes from someone who's already read your book, the ManageHub strategy book. And the question is, how does the success formula fit into strategy?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the ManageHub strategy book is really kind of like a synopsis of what a book might be. It's just a bullet list. And the first section kind of describes you what Baldrige is. And the second section describes how we translate the Baldrige framework into this tool set. And the third section describes a deployment approach. So that was our first attempt at capturing all this work that we did with the Baldrige Alliance. And what the success formula is an updated version, an accelerated version of that original deployment approach. So I call it the ManageHub strategy success formula because it's the next evolution of this approach.
Okay, our next question here is, you mentioned that the success formula helps increase business valuations and results in high multiple exits. Can you explain why this happens?
Yes. Private equity is searching for excellent organizations. They don't want to acquire a high risk business. And a Baldrige adopting organization is a lower risk proposition for them. And there's so much value attributed to having a scalable organization that isn't dependent on specific people performing specific roles, that is replicable, that a private equity firm will generally pay much more. But it's not only the multiple, which, by the way, is outrageous. I mean, typically it's 14 times or higher that what we've seen. It's just incredible. But the terms are also excellent. Instead of earnouts, they're getting all cash offers. Instead of very difficult terms that could break a deal, they're getting terms that will actually encourage the leadership to take the deal.
Okay. The next one is from somebody who's going to refer back to the criteria in ADLI. Can you explain how ADLI is addressed in the success formula and the tools?
Yeah. So I gave you that graphic, and ADLI is built into the success formula because we give you a consistent approach that we show you how to deploy. And continuous improvement, like I said before, is built into the success formula. So even the success formula tools are subject to continuous improvement, because as it's being deployed within your organization, there's going to be lots of ideas and suggestions for making it better within your organization. And we embrace that. But every organization is different. And I've seen so many different interpretations of the success formula in different organizations. And I love that because they're making it their own. But they had that amazing head start. Instead of having to translate the Baldrige framework into, a first iteration and then a second and a third and a fourth, they right out the gate, they had something that already is designed to work together. And that's the highest level of ADLI integration. It's already designed to be integrated. So then just start using it. Slowly, it will improve and improve and improve. And sooner or later, it's going to be your company's way. That's what I love to see. I love, instead of having multiple manager ways of doing things, I like an organization to adopt Baldrige using the success formula to create their organization's way. And that's a powerful thing.
Okay. The next question we have from the audience is, do you anticipate assessing your framework against the new Baldrige program, the new award program being rolled out?
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of, in all of my conversations with the Baldrige community and amazing leaders in it, there's always been this idea of like, you're flipping this. Instead of filling out an application and waiting for feedback and then identifying gaps and building the infrastructure, you're building the infrastructure that you're going to get feedback on, probably. And now you're really ready to write an application and earn recognition. So really, by spending just some upfront time in adopting essential Baldrige-based practices should really accelerate your award application process.
Okay, our next question is, what was that download address, the first one that you listed?
The download. There's managehub.pro/Baldrige. That will give you insights on Baldrige and also allow you to download the 2020 report. That must be what they're asking for. The first one is nist.gov/Baldrige. That's where you can access the Baldrige website, which is a treasure trove of information. And that's where you can get also the Baldrige framework and also find the link to the 2020 report. Sometimes it's hidden, so it's hard to find. That's why I put it on the managehub.pro/Baldrige. It's a direct link right back to NIST.
Well, Christine just sent a thank you note, so she got it.
Oh, good.
We have time for one more question here real quick. Does the suggestion system include or require identification of the key objective which aligns to the suggestion?
Yeah, so the suggestion system, we build into it really the strategic pillars of the organization so that when people suggest ideas or problems, they can kind of, as they suggest more and more, they learn what those pillars are. So they kind of know what we're looking for in a suggestion. So part of just using the system, using this learn by doing approach, helps employees start to understand that we're looking for optimization of processes, ways to save more money, make more money, improve customer satisfaction, increase consistency of the quality of our products and services, those sorts of things.
Okay, great. Well, that's about all the time we have for questions and answers. Mike, once again, thanks for an outstanding presentation and a very engaging discussion. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
As a reminder for everybody out there, the Foundation's Institute for Performance Excellence has more than 400 training and professional development certification opportunities that are offered online and at your own pace. This month, we are showcasing 3 certification courses relating to today's presentation: a certificate in management skills, how to coach, and leading high-performance teams. You can visit the website and register for courses at baldrigeinstitute.org/education to learn more. As a reminder, the recorded version of today's presentation and the slides will be available on the Foundation's website early next week. Once again, thanks to all of our great sponsors and donors. We hope to see you all again next month on March 21st, when leaders of the Baldrige enterprise will give their annual update to the Baldrige community. Thanks again for attending this afternoon, everyone, and have a great day.